Attention passionate Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Pittsburgh Steelers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave division rivals stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Pittsburgh Steelers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you could be a game changer for the Steelers this offseason. We're looking at a potential move that might seem small on paper, but if it comes to fruition, could have massive implications for how Pittsburgh shapes its roster, and more importantly, how they approach their Super Bowl ambitions. We're talking about the possibility of acquiring Jauan Jennings from the San Francisco 49ers. And trust me, this isn't just another name to toss into the mix. This is a player whose recent breakout, combined with his skill set and the fit with Pittsburgh's philosophy, makes him an intriguing target for Omar Khan and the Steelers' front office. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: Jauan Jennings. Isn't he just another guy trying to make a name for himself? Well, not quite. Jennings, in his fourth NFL season, really came into his own last year. He went from being a utility player, someone who could line up in various spots, help out in the short yardage, and be a safety valve for his quarterback, to a legitimate weapon in the passing game. His numbers exploded, setting career highs across the board: receptions, yards, touchdowns, and even yards after catch. What's more impressive is his improvement in advanced metrics like yards per route run, EPA per target, and wins above replacement. That's the kind of growth that catches the eye of any team looking to add a versatile, tough, and reliable receiver. But let's dig a little deeper into why Jennings fits what the Steelers need. First, the positional gap. Pittsburgh's wide receiver room has been a mix of talented players, but they've lacked that consistent, physical second option opposite George Pickens. Yes, they have Diontae Johnson, who's a solid route runner and a good separator, but beyond that, the depth has been questionable. With Pickens being the primary deep threat, the Steelers need someone who can work the middle of the field, make those contested catches, and be a reliable chain mover. Jennings, with his size, around 6'3" and over 210 pounds, brings that physicality to the table. He's the kind of receiver who can line up in the slot or outside, and his play strength allows him to win battles at the catch point and after the catch. What makes Jennings particularly appealing is his style of play. There's an old saying in sports that slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Jennings isn't an explosive athlete in the traditional sense, but he operates with a calm, calculated approach. He's a player who understands how to set defenders up with footwork, head fakes, and body positioning. Despite his lack of elite burst, he creates separation through craftiness and body control, traits that are highly valuable in the NFL. When the ball is in the air, he's not afraid of contact. He's willing to fight for every inch, using his frame to shield defenders and make those contested catches that can swing momentum. His toughness and willingness to do the dirty work really stand out, and that's exactly the kind of mentality the Steelers need to establish an identity of grit and resilience on offense. On the field, Jennings has mostly played in the slot or as a flanker for the 49ers, but injury issues last season pushed him into the X-receiver role more often. That versatility is another huge plus. Kyle Shanahan's offense, which is known for its complex route concepts and use of motion to create mismatches, has showcased Jennings' ability to be a reliable option in multiple spots. Whether it's short outbreakers, quick screens, or attacking leverage off play action, Jennings' route tree is built around high-percentage, high-yield plays that can keep the chains moving. And he's especially dangerous in those intermediate zones, where his physicality and catch radius make him a nightmare for defenders. Now, for those of you who love the X's and O's, let's talk about his route technique. Jennings is not a burner, so he's not going to stretch the field vertically as often as a Tyreek Hill or a Davante Adams. But he's smart, crafty, and effective in the short to intermediate game. When lined up closer to the sideline, he excels at working curl routes and breaking inside, especially off play action looks, something the Steelers could certainly incorporate into their offense. His ability to work the middle of the field on quick outs or digs would complement Pittsburgh's existing weapons nicely. His catch radius is impressive, and his body control allows him to make contested catches look routine, which is exactly what big, physical receivers need to do to help their quarterback. And speaking of quarterbacks, Jennings's toughness and ability to fight through contact aren't just about making catches. They also translate into blocking. He's a willing and effective blocker, often digging out safeties or cracking linebackers to spring perimeter runs. His physicality in the run game is a trait that the Steelers, with their emphasis on a balanced, tough offense, would find immensely valuable. Remember, football is about winning the little battles at the line of scrimmage, and Jennings's effort and grit would help establish that mentality early in the season. Now, I want to pause here for just a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let's continue with the big reveal. Despite all these positive attributes, we have to acknowledge some limitations. Jennings isn't a speed demon. His 40-yard dash time isn't blazing, and that's reflected in his game. He struggles to stretch the field vertically and isn't the kind of receiver who can run past defenders on deep routes. His route breaks aren't explosive, and against disciplined cornerbacks who stay square until the ball arrives, he can be contained. That said, his craftiness, physicality, and understanding of how to use his body give him a significant advantage in the short and intermediate zones. It's about maximizing what he does best and supplementing it with the rest of the Steelers' offensive weapons. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture, why this move makes so much sense for Pittsburgh. First, the current free agent market is pretty underwhelming when it comes to experienced, reliable wide receivers. The options are limited, and many of the bigger names are already off the table or asking for contracts that don't fit the Steelers' current cap situation. Acquiring Jennings, who is just 28, would not only fill a critical need, but also add a veteran presence who can contribute immediately and serve as a security blanket for whichever quarterback ends up under center, be it Kenny Pickett or another young signal caller the team might draft in 2024. And let's be honest, the Steelers have been pretty aggressive this offseason, making moves to upgrade their defense and add talent on offense. But a true, reliable chain-moving receiver who can block, catch contested balls, and work the middle of the field has been missing. Jennings fits that mold perfectly. Imagine him with Pickett or a new quarterback. He'd be a perfect safety net, especially in third-and-long situations or under pressure when quick, reliable options are needed. Now the question is, what would it take to get him? Reports suggest that a conditional fourth-round pick might be enough, considering Jennings's trade request and his current contract situation. But here's the thing, San Francisco is probably hesitant to let him go easily. Kyle Shanahan has a lot of say in that decision, and he clearly values Jennings's versatility and toughness. Shanahan's system is all about scheme fit, and Jennings has adapted beautifully there. Losing him might be a blow, especially if he continues to develop and put up strong numbers again this season. So, for Pittsburgh, it's a strategic gamble. If Omar Khan and the Steelers' front office see Jennings as the missing piece to solidify their offense, especially to build that identity of grit and toughness, then making a move makes perfect sense. Not only does it address a significant positional need, but it also signals that the Steelers are serious about competing at the highest level. It's about maximizing their window with a veteran core on defense and giving their young offense the weaponry it needs to evolve into a balanced, dangerous unit. Now, let's talk about what this could mean for the division and the conference. The AFC North is one of the most competitive divisions in football, full of physical, hard-nosed teams like the Ravens, Bengals, and Browns. Pittsburgh has always prided itself on being a tough, disciplined team that can grind out wins. Adding a player like Jennings could bolster that identity, giving them a reliable, blue-collar receiver who can be a difference-maker in those gritty division battles. And if they manage to pair him with their existing weapons and develop a cohesive offensive identity, it could elevate their entire team's performance. Furthermore, this move could be a statement to the rest of the AFC. The Steelers aren't just content with competing, they want to be contenders. They're looking to build a roster that can challenge the likes of Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Jennings, with his skill set and experience, could be that piece that pushes them over the edge. And let's not forget, Tomlin's teams are always well-coached, disciplined, and prepared. A veteran presence like Jennings could be exactly what they need to turn close games into wins and finish the season stronger. Looking ahead, This move also aligns with Pittsburgh's long-term strategy. While they're still developing around Kenny Pickett, having a versatile, tough receiver who can step into a primary or secondary role gives the team flexibility. It also provides a safety net if the rookie quarterback or a new signal caller struggles early on. Plus, with the NFL draft coming up in April, the Steelers might still be eyeing other positions, but making a smart move now to bring in a proven player like Jennings could be the added boost they need to maximize their roster's potential. Of course, there are some questions about whether Jennings' style will translate perfectly to the Steelers' system. But historically, Pittsburgh has always valued players who are gritty, versatile, and willing to do the dirty work. Jennings ticks all those boxes. And let's not forget, the Steelers have a history of turning underrated players into key contributors. Think about guys like Antonio Brown early in his career, or even recent examples like Deontay Johnson, who has developed into a reliable target. Jennings could follow a similar path. And the fans, I know you're eager for this season to start. The excitement around the Steelers is palpable. With the AFC North as competitive as ever, every move counts. This potential acquisition could be a critical piece in the puzzle for Pittsburgh to reach the postseason once again and make a real run at the Super Bowl. It's about building that toughness, that resilience, and that unyielding drive that has defined the franchise for decades. And now, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Jennings is the right fit for the Steelers? Would you be willing to give up a fourth-round pick for him, or do you see better options out there? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Steelers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Pittsburgh Steelers news. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep that Steelers spirit alive.